Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, DTTV. So today, you've just seen me on the time-lapse drilling the Super 1600 manifold, which was pretty scary stuff, but let me talk you through it. So this is the air temp sensor, and there was an existing hole in here. So what I've done is got the drill out and made the hole just a little bit bigger in order to have this so I can screw it in, and it's gone in really well. I didn't have quite a large enough drill bit, so you saw me just shaping the hole out a little bit larger, so it's gone on well. I also ordered this tiny little screw thread, and it's hollow, so I can use it as a vacuum line. So the idea is this here probably held in a sensor there from the original setup or the original idea. However, that's got in tight enough that it doesn't need holding in, so there's now a hole which goes through into the inlet. So what I've done is that tiny little, let me try and get this on there for you. It's a tiny, what's this, 6mm? Yeah, it's going to be really fiddly to get back in with the air temp sensor in there. So I'm not sure if this will flow enough air, as in vacuum, to cause enough vacuum in order to actuate the fuel regulator, because the idea is that that one there will connect to this fuel regulator here right next to it. So I have noticed, I think as I've mentioned in the last one, that there is a hole here which will be more than ample enough to do the vacuum lines, either for all the maps sensor, the fuel regulator and the actuator on the supercharger. Should be able to do all three if this one's not up to the job for just doing, because I'd like to have that to do the fuel regulator and this to do the other two. So I'm happy that that's gone on, and I've made sure that it all reaches, etc. So I'm not gonna RTV this back onto the inlet as yet, because in the long run I may look to get this port and polish. I may do that myself, because increased airflow, you get more brake horsepower. So that's the idea. So what I'm going to do now is just screw this back on. I ordered some vacuum hose, as you can see there, and put it onto here. The only issue that I do have is that is quite a bit bigger than the hole on there. Hopefully you can see that. So hopefully I can get just something to wrap around there and tighten it up. And once the engine, as I said, once the engine's in and I start it up, it will figure out what the vacuum amount is, and if it's doing enough to give the relevant vacuum to the fuel regulator to give ample enough fuel. So yeah, happy with that. That's just a little tweak that I wanted to do as those two parts arrived today. What else? Not sure really. So I'll going to continue to strip this in a moment, which you'll see me do on time lapse. I'm still, believe it or not, putting it off doing this gearbox, but let's see how we get on with the exhaust. Have a little tidy up and we'll go from there. It's the 11th today, so the 12th tomorrow obviously, so the tensioner pulley should be in, so we can get the belt on, make sure this is all lined up, which would be good. Yeah, just little tweaks here and there today. I've given the actuator another coat of paint, but I've taken it inside to try and dry it out. Hopefully if that's dry, we can bolt that back onto here and run the vacuum line or vacuum hose, which will come from here to the underside of there, which I've just been mentioning. So for this one here, by the way, that screw thread, I'll get one of those again, but obviously in a larger size, which would be suitable for there. So yeah, things are going pretty well. So yeah, let's put you back on time lapse. Let's have a little tidy up and get the inlet back on. Okay, just while I'm thinking about it, the idle control valve, these two parts here, one needs to go before the throttle body and one needs to go after. I believe that one goes this side of the throttle body, i.e. the other side of that, and the other one must go the other side. So what I'm tempted to do, obviously the piping will go up to here, but is to look to drill a hole into here and put another one of these screw threads like that small one there, and like what I'm going to use on the inlet at the bottom here, drill into there, helicoil it, and then screw the adapter in, and then take a vacuum hose a little bit thicker than that, a vacuum hose to this one, and I'll also put a cross thread in there as well, so that it makes it nice and tight, similar to what I've done with that one. And then for this one, it needs to be after the throttle body, so if I was to drill a hole there, that would get the front one. After, there's not much material after that, so the only option I can think of at the moment would be to add another hole, perhaps into the back of the inlet, with a larger one of those again here. I just need, if anyone can advise me, I need to take advice as long as that it will work correctly if I've got one hole here doing the before the throttle body, and then one hole there after the throttle body. So you'd have a vacuum hose coming from the front here, or maybe that wouldn't look too good coming from the front, so perhaps just on the back there in that section here, because I could screw it into there and then take that down to the front one, and then the rear one would have a pipe coming from there up to a hole potentially in here. So I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't potentially put it into the bottom there, so drill a hole into there and tap it, so we'll have one here before the throttle body and one after. I think that's probably the likelihood what I'll do. You can remove the idle control valve, and a lot of people have been advising that on the Puma Facebook group. However, I'd quite like to keep it, to be honest. So that is a solution I've seen on another picture, and I think I talked about it in my previous video. So I think that's the approach I'm going to do, and then it means that I can put this anywhere I want. I can zip tie it up out the way, so it's out, you know, so it's not visual, so you can't see it. So somewhere perhaps at the back here, and then the pipe's just going in. So yeah, that's just a little update on that. But yeah, that's about it for now. Let's carry on with this exhaust. Right, so this video is probably going to be a bit of a short one, and it's going to be a lot of time lapse, but that's just because of the jobs I've been doing today. So the exhaust is really getting there. That's probably going to be a long time lapse for you to see. Just needs a really good light sanding now, some wet and dry, and then some more polish, and that'll look good. I've just done the tip there because the exhaust wrap will go back on, and I've still got a bit more work to do. Clean it up, but I broke the back of it, which is good. I then started cleaning this up with brake cleaner, and I've done a couple of test spots. So I did an area where I did sand off the old paint and then sprayed it silver with Hammerite Smooth, and then I did an area where I sanded or grinded off most of the old paint. So as you can see, that looks really rough and not great, and this area looks quite a bit better. So what I'm thinking is my approach is going to be, when I'll re-strip that area there, I'm going to wire wheel the whole casing, and then I'll get hammered finish rather than smooth, because hammered hides imperfections a bit better. So the test was worth doing, really. It doesn't mean I'll have to take this paint off here, but I only put a really thin coat on. It's not going to be concourse, it's going to look really good unless you start looking really, really close, but I want it as best as I can do, really. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some hammered silver tomorrow, a couple of cans of it, re-strip the whole thing apart from this section and give it some good thin multiple coats of hammered, and I think that's going to look really good. So anybody who's watched the channels from the start will know that the gearbox has been bothering me for a long time. I've really been putting it off, so I feel really happy to have made a start on it. And other than that now, apart from body work, I think it's all done. Like, as in getting stuff powder coated, cleaning all the paint off old things. So you can see there that the intercooler doesn't look great. I'm not going to clean it up because I'm going to replace it. I want it to look really good through the front of the bumper. All the rear beams done, the rear axles, the rear subframe, the front subframe, the wiper motor, all the other bits that I've got in here to go back on. So the engine brackets, the wiper arms, the bucket seat supports, the mud flaps. So just everything that had paint on it or needed refreshing I've now done. I'm going to work through later on in the week with a wire brush and wire brush all these up, because I'm going to do another batch that I'm going to send to be zinc plated like these, which I think I mentioned in my last video. Then other than that, and I hope this week I can finish the gearbox. Then what I've been banging on about now for about dropping the engine to the floor and putting the clutch on, I should be able to do that come, it's Monday today, so I should be able to do it later in the week, or at least next weekend. And then, as I've been mentioning, it definitely is time to start on the body panels. So I've bought some big sheeting. They weren't very expensive. What size are they? 12 foot by 9 foot, and my intentions are to bring all of this stuff into this side of the garage, put the plastic sheeting, and then work in this section with the body panels and sanding them back, because it's going to create a hell of a mess. I've ordered a table, a car body shop stand to put the panels on, and a stool as well, which is going to help me wheel around. I'll put the pictures in here so you can see what I'm referring to. So yeah, I'm really happy with where I'm up to. So end of this week is the target to get all these last final little bits done, including the pre-tensioner, finalising the ICV valve on the engine, painting up the gearbox, finish off the exhaust and put the wrap on it. And then yeah, it's videos after that are going to be about body work. I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube on the best approach if to strip it back to metal, what to do in terms of painting. So there'll be more on that to come. But as I said, yeah, really happy for today. This video is probably going to be a bit short without too much content, so apologies for that, but I'm just doing what I can when I can. So that's all for now. So yeah, I'm going to get on.